Hello, everybody. Welcome to Adaptable Entrepreneurs with me, your host, Lisa Kipps-Brown. And we have a very special guest here tonight, Dr. Reid. Greg, I'm so excited to have you. If y'all are not familiar with Greg's name, you're probably familiar with his work anyway, because he's written dozens and dozens of books. He's produced a film. As a matter of fact, it's on Netflix right now, Wishman, right?
And Lisa, you don't feel bad if people don't recognize me or my name or my work. I'm not very popular at home either.
The thing is, I think a lot of people will know your books even if they don't know your name. But also, y'all, he's a top 5 keynote speaker with entrepreneur.com. And I don't remember, founder of Secret Knock, which is one of the top events in Forbes, right? Or one of the top rated events. And also, I have to say, I also have seen that you've been named the most eligible bachelor and the best dressed man.
There you go.
So tell everybody about your background, Greg, and kind of how you ended up where you are.
Well, you just heard where we're at today. So hi, everyone. My name is Greg. I'm an author, speaker, filmmaker here in San Diego, California, and I'm probably the least qualified guy to do what I do. I'll just put it out there. So yeah, I'm this author. I've been published in 112 books, 45 languages, have a couple honorary doctorates, and even a star now on the Walk of Fame for writing books. Yet I can't spell very good. I can't read, and I'm dyslexic. If you play me Words with Friends, you'll win every time. And I learned a powerful tool, Lisa. You work your strengths and you hire your weaknesses. So I'm a good orator and communicator. So I surround myself with amazing editors and ghostwriters who take my words and then craft them in a way people would actually want to read it. And therefore it goes on to have a ripple effect and impact the lives around the world.
That is so important, because too many of us spend all of our time trying to do everything, because we don't want to let go, or we don't want to pay for it, or whatever. And instead of just going on and getting the people who are good at what we stink at, we waste so much time.
Oh yeah, it's so interesting. Just my latest book is called Wealth Made Easy. And
I've got that.
And the person who actually wrote it, Gary Krebs, he's the former publisher of McGraw-Hill Publishing Corporation in New York. Who can write their book, me or this guy, right? And so surround yourself with people that are the world authorities and what they do. And it's so funny. We can have anything we want as long as we ask those people who are getting what we want and then ask them for guidance and counsel. Look, when I wanted to be a best-selling author, I went to the bookstore and I bought every best-selling book. I didn't go to the best written book section. I can't read very good. So I went to the bestsellers and said, what's the system? What's the technique? And I took what they did already and I crafted it in a way that I could apply for myself. And here we are today. Pretty simple.
Yeah, it is. But, when I've read your book, 3 Feet from Gold, before, and I'm rereading it now, just coincidentally, I was already rereading. Yes, excellent book. But for people who haven't read it, do you mind briefly telling us, like in the beginning, how you got into what you're doing now? Because I think it's so interesting that you felt like you were like kind of a loser. And then all of a sudden you happen to meet the right person, met them, and then you acted on it, and look what it did to your life.
Again, sometimes all we need is one person to believe in us more than we believe in ourselves. And again, that can ignite the fire that gives us enthusiasm to go on and conquer those crazy dreams and goals and aspirations we've been sitting on. So back in 1908, Napoleon Hill was given a letter by a guy named Carnegie to go meet all of his friends, and wrote the first ever formula for success called Think and Grow Rich. 100 years later to the date, the Napoleon Hill surviving family and the foundation that bears his name gave me a very similar letter. Basically, it's a Willy Wonka ticket to meet anyone you want, right? And I had a chance to go around the world to meet the most powerful and influential people and then tell their stories in books and film. And this one, 3 Feet from Gold, is the story about R.U. Darby, a gold miner who gave up 3 feet away from the largest strike in history. And the moral is, how many times do people quit one class short from a degree or sales or marketing? It's easy to quit, but it's the people that go that extra mile, or sometimes just 3 feet. They're the ones that we tell the stories about today.
Yeah, that story about the miner, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But then the guy that bought the claim from them, that had been his dream all along. And it's just a really cool story. But you also hear the flip side of it. When you own a business, it's like, know when to quit. you know, and I think it's really hard when somebody is really passionate about what they're doing and they're kind of married to it. It's hard to know, well, when should I quit and when should I keep going? So I just don't quit.
Well, yeah, we call that the power of stickability.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is Truett Cathy, founder of Chick-fil-A. I asked him a question. I go, I want to be a billionaire like you. What do I do different? And he said, just stop planning so much. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, if I'm on my sofa and I want to get to the end of the street and that's my goal, I get off my backside, take action, I move towards that chosen field. He goes, a planner is going to plan every step. We're going to pause, take a break. If a sprinkler comes on, it freaks them off. It goes against their plan. They run back home. And he goes, for me, I'm looking for opportunity. Did a kid leave a skateboard or a bicycle out that I could borrow to make my journey short? If I get lucky, I'll wave down a neighbor driving by and hitch a ride to the end of the street. He goes, either way, I'll get to my goal. I'm just not so caught up in exactly how it has to happen.
I love that. I love analogies anyway, because I feel like it helps us grasp points better. And that is so cool. But also when you said that, I had to think of you and your skateboard photos. Like you grabbing a skateboard and getting to the end of the street.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm 57 years old and, I skateboard every single day. Born and raised in the beach communities here in Southern California. And it's just kind of the way that we are. It's just our normal. It's so funny how people start seeing pictures and videos of it, but that's just like our daily life. It'd be like you drinking a cup of coffee and someone making a big deal about it. It's just who we are and kind of how we live our life. And what's interesting is we have like group mailboxes down at the end of the estates. So I just choose to ride my skateboard down there. But what's funny is that everyone thinks Colt, my son, because he's only 8 years old, is my grandkid. So I never correct him. I just go with the flow.
That's funny. Well, I'm 59, so I've got 2 years on you.
Nice. It's so interesting. When I was a kid, you go up to people my age and you think, oh my gosh, they're so old. And now we're just getting started. There's so many revving up. Hey, I want to go back to stickability. One of my favorite interviews for that was a guy named Steve Wozniak, and he created Apple computers with Jobs. And I said, how did you guys have so much success in your life? And he says, we just embraced our lack. Where most people run from what they don't have, their fears, he goes, we ran toward it. He said, when these little microchip processors came out, they were so expensive, we could only afford one chip. He goes, Jobs sold his car. I sold my calculator. We pooled our money and bought one chip. He goes, Hewlett Packard would make machines that go from A to B with 20 chips. They had all the money of God. He said, I'd pull away 5, get it to go to A to B with 15. I'd pull away 5, get it to work with 10. Eventually, we went from A to B with our one chip. He goes, we were not trying to be, innovative or cool or slick. We could afford one chip. He goes, but by embracing that as an opportunity, we found the shortest, cleanest path. And by doing that, we changed the way people do personal computing for the rest of the world, for the rest of their life. He said, where could you be in your own business right now if you stop looking at something as your greatest challenge and obstacle, but it could just be your greatest blessing and opportunity in disguise?
What a great point. Yeah, because it forces you to be more efficient, figure out a different way to achieve what you want to achieve, because you're never going to be able to do what Hewlett Packard could do, right?
Yeah, it's adaptability, and it's interesting. The founder of the cell phone, his name is Marty Cooper. I said, what does stickability mean to you? And he goes, stickability has to be parallel with flexibility. He says, if you're not willing to adapt and adjust, you get stuck. And I realized that is the key element of the most successful humans alive. Look, we all have our challenges and our obstacles. All we do is, though, we're constantly changing and adapting along the journey. And I'm going to share a little newsflash right now. Look, the people that are not preparing right now for what's coming next, shame on you. That's all I gotta say is shame on you. Because what's happened is, like, for the last year, we all know how sucky it's been, but guess what? A tsunami of freaking opportunities and success is about to come. It's like a slingshot. It's been holding us back. I can't go anymore. Can't go anymore. And as soon as it goes forward, you better be prepared for all the things that are coming your way, because that's what is literally about to start coming in our direction. A quarterback never throws a football with a receiver standing. They throw it downfield and let him run to it. So right now, my friends and I are looking at what's coming next and preparing ourselves so we're ready and able to accept it when it falls in our lap.
Those are great points, because most people just sit there afraid. what's going to come next. And, you know, the thing about stickability, and when I made the comment about some people don't know when to quit, you know, when to quit and when not, with the minors, if they had not quit totally, if they had just adjusted a little bit, gone 3 feet over, you know, huge difference.
Yeah, and you heard a lot of these people last year pivoting, changing. Oh, I'm going to take it all online. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Again, fool's game, because you're going to have to just repivot and go to a different direction. Yes, we have to adapt and adjust 100%, but you don't go 100% one way, because then you got to correct it 100%. What we want to do is be flexible and malleable so that we're prepared for the opportunities that will be coming our direction. It's interesting. One of the guys, Marty Cooper, who did the cell phone, he said, the thing that holds people back is this spider monkey syndrome. Mm-hmm. He said, in a spider monkey in the rainforest, you can't harpoon it, spear it, catch it. It's one wiry animal, but one hunter figured it out, San Juan. He took a heavy log, drilled a tiny hole, dropped a peanut inside, and left it at the base of the jungle. The monkey would smell the nut, come down, reach his hand in, grab a hold of the nut, and his fist becomes so big he can't pull it back out, become anchored to the log. All he's got to do is let go, but he holds on, thinking it's saving him its nutrition. The hunter comes by an hour later, captures the elusive spider monkey. And the moral is, are we holding on to our own nut right now? But it's in the form of a job or a car or a deal or fear or guilt or remorse or the past. And what we're holding on with dear life, thinking it's saving us, just like the monkey thought the nut was, could also be the thing that's leading to our own demise. Sometimes we have to have the courage to simply let go, adapt, and adjust so we can live to fight another day.
I think that's why it's so important to have people, whether it's a mastermind or just a group of peers or a coach or just friends. It's so important to have people outside of you who can look at things and be more objective, because it's really hard. We're all so close to our own things.
Yeah, and we can't share our dreams, goals, experiences sometimes with those that we love the most. And it's sad and it's a shame, but it's true. Look, I've learned very early on, like, people come and go, what about my family doesn't believe in me? Well, look, you dummy, stop telling them your goals. I mean, it's up to you. I got amazing friends that I go play pickleball and poker with, but I'm not going to talk to them about the next movie I'm making. They wouldn't understand. So the secret is to seek counsel and not opinion. Counsel based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, or inexperience, where counsel is wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. If you go to a family friend and say you're going to write a best-selling book, they're going to try to talk me out of it to protect me and keep me safe. They know I got dyslexia and they've never written a best-selling book. If I go to Mark Victor Hansen, wrote Chicken Soup, he's going to say, here's what you need to know and give you counsel. If we would spend our activity only seeking counsel and ignoring opinion, that's the day our lives change.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. And the other thing, they want to protect you, but some people also are afraid that you'll change. They're kind of afraid of losing you.
Yeah, they don't want to lose you. But also remember this. This is my belief system. Everyone's got their different one. I truly, strongly, innately believe that most people are just afraid because you're going to go beyond their expectations.
Yeah.
They're going to feel left behind, things of this nature. So it's not that they want you to fail. They're just you, or they're just kind of jealous because they're going to see you go beyond what they're going to be done. And then they see themselves in the rearview mirror. It's interesting. When I wrote 3 Feet from Gold, I invited 200 or 300 people to come with me to meet and enter. No one came. Everyone had something called the bad case of the one size. That means I'll take action once I get the big break or once I get and everyone had an excuse. And the fact of the matter is, once it became a global phenomenon, everyone said, I wish I would have gone with it. But they didn't. And the whole thing is, sometimes people just can't see an opportunity before. I'll share a quick one. You'll be the first person I share this story with.
Okay.
I make movies. I'm doing TV shows right now and all this good stuff. And I decided I wanted to see what it was like behind the scenes. So I applied to be an extra, a cast member for a TV series that's been on for 24 years called Ghost Adventures. And so they're going to make me a little ghost in the background. Well, I showed up and they gave me a really big role and it was amazing. And I just wanted to see what it felt like to be one of the cattle call people. And it was really interesting because at the end of the whole thing, I was done doing in my scenes. It was about midnight. And I kept talking to the other cast members and they're going to class, learning acting, getting agents, doing all this stuff. and said, well, you're not going to believe this, but I'm kind of like undercover boss. I actually make movies and TV shows, and I just wanted to see what it was like on this side. In fact, I'm getting ready to do a couple of shows.
Mm-hmm.
One person asked me to be in my show. And these are people giving their whole time. And I'm literally sitting there saying, I'm looking for, and I just went, that summarizes most of America. And most people let their big butt keep them from what they want, not the one they're sitting on. They say, I'd go do that too.
But yeah, that's exactly why I'm writing my next book. It's called Disrupt Your Now, The Successful Entrepreneur's Guide to Reimagining Your Business and Life. And I'm writing it with my cousin, who's an Emmy Award.
Wait. Are you going to use 2 books just for the cover of that title? I mean, that's the longest title I've ever heard. Hold on one second. Let me read you the title of my book.
Yeah. Well, the title is Disrupt Your Now. So so my cousin and I are writing it. He's an Emmy Award-winning writer, but that's why we're writing it, because I'm so tired of everybody saying, one day I will do this. It's just, and they live their life, and before they know it, years have gone by, and they've always been saying one day, someday, or whatever. And then they look around, and someday never comes. You know how that is.
Amen. Well, the whole thing, again, the bad case of the one size, the big butt, every cliche we want to say, bumper sticker thing. It's interesting. There is a bumper sticker that says, what would you do if you couldn't fail? I think if we replace that and change it with, what would you do if you stopped worrying about what people thought?
Yeah.
Because I realize the biggest fear that holds folks from doing what they want is usually the fear of criticism, the fear of judgment. And the funny thing is, no one's thinking about you. They're dealing with their own life, their own situation. So I believe that we should do everything that pops into our brain. People ask all the time, well, why is it you go run with bulls? Why do you climb Mount Kilimanjaro? Why do you make a movie? Why do you think because it popped in my head and I decided I wanted to go do it, right? And I'm not going to let another person or myself talk me out of what I know to be true. Look, we're only on the spinning rock for a short period of time. We'll only be remembered by our kids and maybe a little bit by your grandkids, if you're lucky, but by the 3rd generation, you're done. There is no legacy. So that's what you got. So the whole thing is we might as well live all out so we can be the greatest beacon of what's possible to the people closest to us right now.
Yeah. And that reminds me of one, I can't remember who it is that said this to you in the book, 3 Feet from Gold, but the statement that 95% of people don't care whatever, like it was, you were talking about, they were saying, don't talk about your problems or whatever. 95% of people don't care, and the other 5% are hoping that you'll fail or something to that effect.
Yeah. It's interesting also is that when you're going through our trials and tribulations, you cannot tell people what you're going through because you just look like you're complaining.
Yeah.
Yet when you go through it and you came out the other side, tell them what you went through, you look like a hero. So I just learned to bite my lip. So when I'm going through my biggest challenge, nobody would ever know because I'm just suck it up. And then when it's done, I sit there and go, hey, by the way, here's what happened. So for example, you talk about Wishman. I think it's here, this movie, that took me 6 years and more trials and tribulations. I could write 7 books on how hard it was to do that project. And when it was done, we, guess what, made the short list for the actual ballot for the Oscars last year. And guess what? We're trending worldwide on Netflix now. Now, no one asked about all the hiccups and the challenges. They just talk about the glory because, again, I didn't share it when it was happening in real time. But now I can go back and go, hey, let me tell you a couple stories. And it's really entertaining. But when you're in it, you just can't never talk about it.
Yeah. And when they don't hear those stories, they're sitting there thinking that Greg Reid, everything he does.
Everything.
Oh, man, So, yeah, I'm actually.
I want to stay on that topic because this is another thing, too. I get this, and that's one of my things that drives me the craziest nuts. They go, well, it's easier for you because you are. Listen, everyone watching me right now, you've never heard from me before. Guess what? Everyone I reach out, they don't know me either. So there is none of that excuse. And when I got started, I did something crazy. I got started. So I ran an ad on a very secretive website that very few people know about. It was only $25, but I ran an ad on the secret website, and I was looking for someone to help me write the screenplay. And the website, I'll tell you, it's called Craigslist. Anybody, okay? And the guy who answered the ad ended up writing the movie, directed it, produce it with me, and won awards all around the world.
Wow.
And the difference is all I did was take action toward the law of attraction. You got to think it, feel it, get off your backside, take action, and you got to do it.
Golly, Craigslist. Man.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's true. I live in a pretty cool house. Those people that knows follows my social media, it's this cool little mini mansion.
Yeah.
Craig, that's where I found it. Same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so my son's name is Colt. We ran an ad or a contest on Facebook to name my kid. Everything's done on social media nowadays, right?
Are you kidding?
It's just a different world. The only thing is, most people think of, oh, I can't find it, it'll never happen. And that's what they get. Well, I sit there and go, how can I get this? Where someone says, I can't afford it, I think, how can I afford it? Same exact conversation, just a different wording, right?
Yeah, just looking at it from the other angle. And I have to say, you have the best shoes ever. All your shoes. That's what I'm always looking at in your photographs. I'm like, man, I like those red shoes. The very first picture that I remember seeing, like when we very first connected, and you were, I guess, on the stairway in your home, and you had on these red, like patent leather shoes. I was like, man, I got to connect with that guy. I love his shoes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. The reason why I wear different color outfits, it's so simple, and you're going to laugh because it's very strategic. Whenever you speak on major stages, there's always a backdrop, or it's a white backdrop. There's no in between, and 99% it's black. And what happens is people wear these really nice black suits, and they look like a dancing head on top of this backdrop. So a mentor told me one day, hey, why don't you wear a different little color, just a little bit, and you'll pop off the back of the black backdrop. That's it. And so when I started wearing a little yellows or orange or green or red or blue or whatever, all of a sudden people go, man, that guy was amazing. They don't remember anything I said. They just remember that I
love your clothes.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I was gonna see if we have any questions in here. Okay, we'll answer the questions later. Let's talk some more about stickability.
Yeah.
I want you to. Is that your newest book?
No, I did that one years and years ago. The latest
so many, I can't keep up with them.
I know. Latest one here is Wealth Made Easy.
Oh yeah. Okay, I have that one.
This one's kind of cool. So this one, I went around the world and interviewed people worth $100 million to $1 billion. Everyone from Lamborghini, the founder of Remax, the whole bit. But the aha of that one was a gentleman named Mark Anthony Bates, and he taught me something called CPC. Clues, patterns, choices. It's about accountability and responsibility for what happens. It means it's your fault. So, for example, if I have a friend and we're going out to dinner and they show up 20 minutes late, well, there's a little red flag. Anything could happen, but that's a clue. But if every time I see this person, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th time, every time they're 20 minutes late, well, that forms a P, which is a pattern. And then it's my choice whether I stay friends with them or I decide to show up 20 minutes late or whatever, but it's my choice. Don't try to change people to fit in your own little world, because no one wants to be changed. But sometimes we'll see someone with a bad reputation in business. They cheat your best friend. You do business thinking they'll be different. And when things go wrong, you're mad at the person. It's like seeing a snake rattle, bite your kid's sister. You go to pet it, get bit, and you're mad at the snake. Looking back, rarely are we angry at the relationships that failed or business practices that didn't go good. We're just angry that we stayed in too long.
True. Yeah. That's a great point. One of the things that I remember from that book, and I don't remember which person said it, but one of the people saying that the reason that, or talking about how the wealthy people like them, billionaires, they make all the money because other people stick with their business too long because it's their passion.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because you and I are talking offline, and there's a fine line between this. Because,
yeah.
I'm torn between telling some of this message because it might, take someone away from their dream and their passion. And Think and Grow Rich was all about living a purpose-filled life, which is amazing if you want to be a doctor or a nurse. Yet that's not where wealth is. Look, you can get rich that way, like the book says, but wealthy people, the wealthiest people did it in stuff that they were the least passionate about.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what they say. It's the cardboard king or the guy who makes ballpoint pens or, makes the spork or whatever. Right?
Spork, I know.
so yeah, it's counterintuitive, and you might find one or two examples differently. But look, look at the wealthiest guy in the world right now. You look at Jeff Bezos. Well, you see the first initial interviews from 1980s. He's out there telling everyone now how passionate he is. But if you see the first interviews, he's out on the street corner and he goes, "Oh, I just saw an opportunity. People are selling books, and so I created a website to sell these books because I realized it'd be the easiest way to trade it." Right? He saw an opportunity and capitalized on it. And if you go back, that's what everyone did. Even Elon Musk, original stuff, he found ways to capitalize. Now he's following his passion, but at the end of the day, he was seeking opportunity. And if you look back in life, almost all millionaires that lost their money did it because they were following their passion.
Yeah.
But no one who's wealthy, a billionaire, ever lost their money because they're not following their passion. They're just seeking opportunity. I know it's weird, but it's just true.
Yeah, and it's also a totally different type of goal. What is it? What is it that you want? Because if somebody only cares about the money, and I'm not saying that's all they care about in life, but if there isn't a passion in that, and that's what they care about, then they're going to make totally different decisions that somebody who does have a real passion will make.
All right, wait. I got to tell this story. So Napoleon Hill, before he died, was supposed to write this book, and he never got a chance to. So they gave it to Sharon Lecter and I, and we just came out with this thing, and it's in every bookstore in America, and it's pretty cool. But one interview of this guy is a good example of this.
Okay.
For the entrepreneurs watching, this is just a really good takeaway nugget. His name's Fred. And I was at Sharon Lecter's mansion, and we're having an interview with this guy in the living room. And I said, "What was your biggest claim to fame? What did you do?" And he says, "Well, I invented the jet ski, the 2-person sit-down jet ski." And I go, "Oh, that's amazing." He goes, "Yeah, I sold the rights for 75 grand. And he started talking about something. I went, "Fred?" He goes, "What?" I go, "You sold the right for 75 grand. He goes, "Yeah." And he started talking something else. I go, "Fred?" He goes, "What?" "That's $1 million brand. Have you heard of Ski-Doo?" He goes, "Of course." He goes, "It's one of my, proudest moments." I go, "How can you say you're excited about it? You sold for 75. It must kill you." And he goes, "Greg," he says, "at that time when I sold that was all the money in the world to me." He goes, "I was about to lose the family estate that's been in our house for generations." He goes, "I got caught up. It was the greatest feeling. My employees were so behind. I got them caught up as well." He goes, "For the first time ever in my life, I slept all the way the night through as an adult." He goes, "I didn't even know what it was like because I was always so stressed." He goes, "I had free time. I went through the attic and I found these little metal die-cast cars I played with as a kid. A buddy of mine is in NASCAR, so I put his number on the side and I gifted it to him. Other drivers saw it. They got jealous. They wanted them, so I did them for them. Finally, NASCAR came to me and bought the rights for 151 million. And he goes, as an entrepreneur, sometimes you have to do a deal in order to get you through to do another deal.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I remember reading the thing about the jet skis in your book. So, what is the thing that you think you've been most surprised about in your career since you kind of hit it big, for lack of a better word, since you hooked up with the Napoleon Hill Foundation and all that, and really started seeing success? What's been the thing that you've been most surprised about?
Well, I've sold, just for the record, more books before the Napoleon Hill Foundation.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've done 112 books in 45 different languages around the world and the whole bit. I did say the biggest surprise, I would say how simple most of this stuff is.
I know.
I think I was expecting like some crazy rocket science technology, yet the most basic stuff is the basic stuff. Look, it was interesting a few years ago. I remember when Bitcoin and cryptocurrency came out. I went to learn a class from another buddy of mine, and I took a group of like 20 or 30 of us. We all paid like $500 to go learn what this crypto thing was. Well, I think 3 of us actually bought 10 grand or whatever worth of it thing, and now we're sitting on big chunk of dough because we took action at that time. And right now it's something called NFTs, and people that don't even know what that is, Google it, and then you'll thank me tomorrow. But if you're not into that, God will. Okay, I don't even know what to say. If you're not into NFTs now, and 5-10 years from now, you're going to look back and really miss out. And you should play this back and go, man, I should have listened to that guy. But that's the next thing. So again, what all I do and my friends do is look what's coming next. We never focus on what's here right now, because if you did, then everything was Zoom calls until Clubhouse came back.
Yes.
Now it's Clubhouse until the next thing comes back. 2 weeks ago, it was PayPal. Then it was crypto. Now it's NFTs. The next thing is going to be, you probably think it and money pops into your bank account. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, right? The whole idea is what is coming next. Prepare for yourself because a tsunami is coming our direction.
Well, and that comes down to that people get too hung up on the tools or the things rather than the way of thinking and being open-minded. And, there's always going to be a new tool. There's always going to be a different way to do things. I've actually owned my business since 1996. I started developing websites in 95. So before Google was around, sold some of the first independently published books on Amazon back in 97. So it's like, I've seen it all. And all these clients that are like, oh my God, I have to do this. I'm like, no, you don't. You just need to take a step back, figure out what you need to do right now, and then keep your eyes open. Like you said earlier, the people that are like going totally online, I'm sitting here going, yeah, what are you going to do when we have a magnetic pulse? Hello, then you're going to be wishing that you had your little store in the corner. And that's we have to be able to adapt for whatever comes our way instead of having all our eggs in one basket.
And it's just preparation. I mean, even if things went awry last year and no one knew, remember at the first beginning, everyone had the worst case scenario. I mean, I've always got a year or 2 years worth of frozen, freeze-dried food and water crystals and water straw. I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, so, it's all how you look at it. That way, you never have to be worried about the worst case scenarios, but you plan for the best case scenario.
Right.
And so that's what it is. It's so interesting. So again, if you went back just 5 months ago, it's like if you weren't on Facebook and doing Facebook ads, you'll never make it. Then all of a sudden LinkedIn started popping up the thing. And then it was, if you're not on TikTok, forget about it. Now today, if you're not on Clubhouse, forget about it. Tomorrow it's going to be, if you're not on Joe's Widget. And you're always keeping up with the Joneses. But more importantly, the secret is to watch the masses and then go the other way. That's the only thing I've done differently, my friends. And I'll give you an example. When the shutdown happened last year, I like to go to my favorite coffee house. And everything got shut down. You couldn't go there anymore. And their stock went from like $140 a share down to $60, $70 a share. So again, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I just went and bought as much stock in the coffee house, knowing as soon as things lift, where's the first place everyone's going to go? Back to the coffee shop.
Yeah.
So we have that type of mentality. You don't have to be a nuclear physicist to figure out success. Just watch the masses and go the other direction. All right. You got me for about another 5 minutes. Do we have a question yet?
Yeah, I was going to see Amy T. Meyer, and you already told me this earlier, but she wanted to know who you donate towards. And you told me before, but go ahead.
Are you talking about charitable contribution?
Yeah. She wanted to know who you donate, what types of organizations.
Yeah, a different one every single time. So what happens is that I've donated millions and millions of dollars through Secret Knock and all of our enterprises towards amazing groups, and we've done amazing things. The next Secret Knock, we have a thing called Pink Cans for Cancer, and it's a group out in Long Island, New York. It's a group that actually has these pink waste bins that people put their cans in, and they come pick them up and trade them in and take that money and then use that that need it. So, but there's always something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There'll be kids with cleft lips and
I think it's great that you switch around like that. Amy has another question. I don't even know what this is. Have you ever done the Baton Death March? That's when you were talking about the mountain climbing stuff. Do you know what that is?
Of course I do. And no, but talk about some history that most people don't talk about. So God bless you for even knowing that. But when I was a kid, I was 17 years old. I had a bucket list of 80 crazy items I had to do before, the end of days. And I'm very fortunate. I've done them all. So I've carried the torch for the U.S. Olympics. I've made a major motion picture. I got a star on the Walk of Fame. I've written books. I got published. I spoke at the General Assembly floor at the United Nations. I've spoken at the Pentagon with all the military generals. I've jumped airplanes. And it's cool because you get to live this dream. And what happened was that I hit the bucket list. I realized that I was fulfilled. So I asked my son, who's 8, what his list was. And we started, and we're knocking those off now.
Oh, that's cool. I'm going to let you go. But before you go, I want you to tell everybody your movie, the film that's on Netflix, and the most recent book, or whatever book books you most want them to go buy now.
All right, let's see what I got over here. The number one book I got going on right now is called Sellership. and it's really interesting. It's on Amazon. Brian Tracy wrote the foreword. Ben Ward and I did this book, and it's all about people talk sales, sales, sales. They don't talk sales leadership. As we know, no matter what your organization is, your number one salesperson, if you try to make them a manager, they usually fail because they're a great salesperson. They're not a great manager. So this book actually teaches people how to train sales managers and trainers so they can have an exponential effect and grow your life and your business. So Sellership right now on Amazon, and you can find me anywhere on the internet, but mainly go to Instagram, Greg S. Reid. You can DM me directly, and I promise to get back to you right away.
And you're always on Clubhouse. I always see you in there.
Well, I pop up on Clubhouse. Clubhouse to me is like a modern version of Twitter or Reddit, but it's audible.
Yeah. It's just pop in and see what's going on. Yeah.
Exactly. So I thank you for having me on. I appreciate you greatly, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, Greg. Talking to you soon. Bye.
All right.